Breaking Fentanyl's Grip on KFDX is sponsored by Central Plains Center.
According to the University of North Texas Health Science Center at Fort Worth, overdose deaths involving fentanyl in Texas jumped from 333 in 2019 to 662 in 2021. That's an increase of over 400% in just 2 years.
It was an alarming enough rate to prompt state lawmakers to take action. But even before that, many law enforcement agencies right here in Texoma joined forces and took the fight against fentanyl into their own hands.
Josh Hoggard takes a look at how Wichita County blazed the trail in prosecuting fentanyl cases and set a precedent for the entire Lone Star State.
According to data from the Texas Department of State Health Services, fentanyl accounted for 69% of all unintentional synthetic opioid overdose deaths in Texas in 2018. That percentage grew every single year, reaching a staggering 97% by 2022, just 5 years later. Those statewide statistics sadly proved true right here in our backyard. And local officials knew they had to act to reverse fentanyl's curse in Wichita Falls.
And we started going to one call after another with these fentanyl overdoses. In 25 years, I've never seen anything like that.
District Attorney John Gillespie's been with the Wichita County DA's office since 2001. He's seen plenty of drug surges in the area, but nothing that's had a death toll as high as fentanyl.
The sheer potency of it that we were seeing, which is what was driving that death epidemic that I observed, that was like nothing I'd seen before.
What it's mixed with, what it's laced with, the lethality of fentanyl to me has been so much different than any other drug we've seen.
Sergeant Brett Keith with the WFPD said once the deadly drug made its way to Wichita County, it quickly took on a life of its own.
Once it gets over here, it just spreads like wildfire overnight.
In the first half of 2022, police say they investigated 53 overdoses linked to fentanyl, possibly over a dozen deaths. By September of 2022, the fire was raging with 3 fentanyl-related deaths in a single weekend. Something had to be done.
Trying to contain that, canning this drug, and trying to arrest and prosecute those folks that are involved.
And that's what led to us sitting down and saying we need a specific strategy to attack this.
The WFPD, the DA's office, along with several local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, began what Gillespie described as a multi-front battle against fentanyl.
It's a team approach. We have a very strong collaboration among the various agencies in Wichita County.
Putting boots on the ground in the streets of Wichita Falls, tracing overdose cases to a dealer, and from a dealer to a supplier.
Anytime you can keep moving up that chain, that's the goal, to arrest and prosecute as many of those people that we can.
It's led to major drug busts over the last 5 years. WFPD Special Ops seized around 14 pounds of fentanyl in Wichita Falls last year alone, according to Sergeant Keith, likely taking millions of potential lethal doses off the street. But the battle doesn't end there. It continues in the courtroom, with prosecutors bringing murder charges against dealers.
When people hear murder, they think, oh, an intentional crime. Somebody shoots somebody, somebody stabs somebody. There are different ways to commit murder in the state of Texas.
But before the signing of House Bill 6 by Governor Greg Abbott in 2023, there was an illegal precedent for prosecuting a dealer for a fentanyl overdose. That didn't stop Wichita County from becoming a statewide standard in fentanyl-related murder prosecution, with the trial of Jacinto Jimenez charged with felony murder for the death of Andres Diaz.
Felony murder is if you're in the course of committing a felony and you commit an act clearly dangerous to human life that causes the death of another.
The first step, tracing the lethal drugs back to the dealer.
We have to be able to say the fentanyl that was dealt is the fentanyl that caused the overdose.
In the case of Jimenez, even though he sold pills containing fentanyl to a friend of Diaz, and he didn't deal the deadly drug directly to him, he wasn't off the hook.
In Texas, you have concurrent causation. Just because somebody else is involved in a crime, that doesn't prevent somebody else from being responsible.
Then it had to be proven that Jimenez knew how dangerous fentanyl was, something Gillespie says Jimenez admitted to police when the DA later wrote about the trial in the Texas Prosecutor Journal.
Having proof like that is something we're looking for murder prosecutions.
After the case was handed to the jury, they found Jimenez guilty, later sentencing him to 45 years in prison and marking the very first conviction for fentanyl-related murder in Texas.
That worked, and it was affirmed by the Court of Appeals.
And that's given prosecutors another weapon to wield.
It strengthens our hand in plea negotiations, so we've had some really solid pleas that have come out of fentanyl-type cases.
Sending a clear message to both dealers and suppliers.
And if you want to take the chance of dealing this in our community, you may find yourself charged with murder. That message got out on the streets.
Gillespie says it's helped to choke off a lot of the supply, which police say has done something else.
We haven't seen near the amount of overdoses that we initially saw.
Now, keeping those statistics moving in the right direction is also about raising community awareness.
One pill can kill, one pill has killed. have those conversations.
The fight may not be over, but the fighters are ready on multiple fronts for as many rounds as it takes.
We're serious about it, law enforcement's serious about it, and the juries and judges are serious about this.
I'm still working to make sure this stuff stays out of our community, 100%.
Prosecutors aren't slowing down either. 2 more fentanyl-related murder cases are currently on the docket in Wichita County. Brandon Curry and Jacob Blankenship, both accused of dealing fatal doses of fentanyl, both set for trial in the 78th District Court in the coming months.
They will be prosecuted in Wichita County.
Absolutely. All right, Josh, thank you so much for that story.